Well, hello, welcome back. Doing to do a playthrough here for the Reman character, basically just to sort of, just as a help for character creation here. I know with me, I'm a little obsessive when I sit down and create a character, so I just wanted to review this. But welcome to Pressure XP Live. We do this. Our playthroughs live, so they're a little unscripted. We have some notes that we go over, but basically we just like to do this a little unscripted. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to do new character creation. Really not going to do too much into the gameplay. I may jump out of it here, but basically, even for all the new console players that are going to come on, I know most PC players. I'm going to be doing this on like a PC setup, so ultimately, the console playthrough screens may be a little different. But I just want to address some of the issues that you may deal with whenever choosing a character. The one I'm specifically going to choose is going to be the Reman character because it opens up through the reputation system, or you can purchase it, I believe. But basically, I wanted to go over it so that I'll do the Reman specifically because it's such a unique, character creation that I don't think there's a lot of people out there that are addressing this. So when it opens up, you're like, oh well, why should I do this, or how's it different, and stuff like. Well, to start, you have at this point in the game, you actually have four different areas that you can choose from here. You can go with your 23rd century character, and engineering, science, and tactical. So um, you have that playthrough. You can do your standard Starfleet character, which is great. These are the Starfleet character, and technically the Klingons have been around since the beginning, and the playthroughs have been vastly improved. The game was very rough in the beginning, but at this point it's all been polished up very well. The storyline is in my opinion great. They've ironed out a lot of the kinks in it and just made it flow so much better. No matter which character you choose, whether it be the 23rd century Starfleet, Romulan, or Klingon, the storylines are great. So I will say there's ultimately two different factions though. It's going to be the Starfleet, and there's going to be Klingon during the this alternate universe timeline. So no matter which character you go with, eventually you're going to have to choose one, and that goes for the Starfleet 23rd century. You're obviously going to end up as into Starfleet, the normal time frame, and spoiler there. But ultimately, that way everyone can share an instance, and everyone's sharing the same gaming experience. So they have to do that. Same thing with the Klingons, but ultimately. Um, they have their own playthrough from beginning to end. They have their own ships and everything like that. But really, the only two sides here that you can choose and play through, because you need to align with one side, is going to be either Starfleet or the Klingons. If you choose the Romulans, ultimately, at some point in the game, you will have to choose a side. You will either choose to be a Federation character or a Klingon character. And on this particular, you can be, the Romulans, the Remans. I've been around since the beginning. I don't know why it does these weird, clothing combinations, but you can be this liberated Borg. I have that since the beginning, so you may not see that one, but I believe it is maybe purchasable. You can also do an alien as well. So ultimately, the ones I've done is a Romulan, and what on this one I'm going to do a Reman. But again, like I said, at some point, if you choose Romulan, you will get to choose whether or not you want to be a Starfleet character or a Klingon character. So again, you may not have access to the Reman character right away, but you'll be able to. But the playthrough I'm doing here, it's basically going to be the same if you choose any of these characters in this character creation process. So you could choose any character, it's going to be the exact same thing because the character creation is basically the same for all characters. There's nothing really differentiating any of them in the character creation process. The one thing I will say here is you can pull up information, race information, and class information. I, I know some people, if you're going to do this, like to promote either the Romulan or the Reman for certain trait benefits. But honestly, you're going to get some vastly better traits in the game over time. So don't let this bog you down. Don't obsess over what's in here and what's not in there. You know, it's really not going to be a big deal. The big things you're going to want to, decide other than how you want your character to look and which side you want to play on, whether it be Starfleet or Klingon, and both have their benefits. And I will say there's probably more people playing Starfleet than there is the Klingons, only from a percentage standpoint. There's still a bunch of people playing on the Klingon side and a bunch on the Starfleet. It's just as a percentage, I would probably say there's more people on Starfleet. So if you're needing help or wanting more active, playthrough, Starfleet's going to have a really good active community. All right. Now the big, thing you're going to want to decide is, what kind of character do you want to be? Do you want to be a tactical character where your main abilities are going to be, tactical in nature, attacks, critical damages, things like that, it will like just really enhance your attacks? Or do you want to be a science character where you're using like, you know, special abilities to, weaken characters or, singularities, things of a sciencey nature to try to damage other characters, and engineering where you're doing a lot of healing and other kinds of similar type of science things, but more of an engineering nature. So it's just a matter of what kind of gameplay experience you want. Ultimately, you can be. I have an engineering character that I geared towards tactical, so it's not like if you choose this, it's like, oh well, I can't do this, or because this is an engineering character. You can absolutely play as a tactical character if you're an engineer, but they're geared more towards tactical. More tactical options are going to open up to you if you have your tactical player. So ultimately on this one, I need another tactical player. So on this particular character, I'm going to create a tactical like Reman character here. But again, no matter what character you do, it's going to have the same choices. Like, see, we pick tactical here. If we go to Starfleet, go to the race information, there's a lot of stuff that's different in these things. But like I said, you can glance at them, see if there's something that you really truly like, but don't let it bog you down. Don't let it obsess. These class information, a lot of these skills you can learn in game, but these kind of open up over time as well. So like some of these just unlock at certain levels. As you can see here, it says unlock. So this one might be handy because these may not be, what you would purchase in the game. Like, and when I say purchase, you're purchasing it with in-game money. You're not having to put any money into the game. They just, you can buy additional skills in the game using credits and things like that, using in-game currency. Now, I will say Starfleet has a lot more character choices here. You do have, when I talked about the Reman, that's what I meant with this little gold coin. You have to actually purchase access to one of these, and I particularly have access to the Reman. So, now I do want to touch on the clean. It's the exact same setup, but as you can see, there's a lot more options here. And a lot of people, I do want to mention this, a lot of people like the aliens because they seem to be very open. You have a lot more flexibility in how you want the character to look. And I will say it does seem like they have a few more traits available to them as well, and a few more slots, but it's not that big of a deal. It is really neat to be able to just, one day you're like, you know what, I don't want to be a human anymore. I just want to be an alien or something like that. You have a lot of character creation with being an alien. So it's really nice to be able to pick that option. So if you have the opportunity, that's a really good option because just from a sheer creativity standpoint, it's a really nice option. But again, even on the Klingon characters, you choose between engineering, science, and tactical. And again, it doesn't really play into it. It does. You are able to do more engineering things on your character, but you can have a bridge officer that later in the game, as you get bridge officers, you can add skills in that way and have access to it that way. So again, don't let it bind you to be like, oh, well, I've got to do this one engineer or something like that. Especially to new players, just start one out and see how you like it. And if you're like, hey, maybe I should create another one that would be more engineering based because it would do a better job of what I'm trying to accomplish, that's something you're going to figure out in time. So, but ultimately, in the beginning, I know on this character I'm going to create right now, we're going to do tactical. But again, the playthroughs from beginning to like what they would consider in game, which is all the way to, let's say, level 6. Basically, Klingons are, you're going to be able to play from beginning to level 60, which is considered in-game content. With all the flavors of a Klingon character and the Klingon society and all the voiceovers and stuff like that in Klingon. And Federation is going to be the other option, where you're going to be able to play from beginning to what they consider endgame, which is level 60 content, and be able to, get that Starfleet flavor. The voiceovers are going to be Federation. They're going to have that Federation flavor. That's just really where uh, the differences in these options are going to come in. The 23rd century character and the Romulan character, from an early game standpoint, you get a couple of playthroughs that are going to give you that flavor of Romulan and 23rd century flavor, but eventually they transition into either the Starfleet or the Klingon timeline. So if you're a Romulan and you want to align with the Klingon Empire, you're going to be a Romulan that is, answering to the Klingon High Council, basically. If you're a Romulan and you want to choose the Federation, you'll be once you choose the Federation, you'll be answering to the Federation Council. They are the ones that you're going to be dealing with the rest of the game. Now, I will say you cannot change this. As soon as you make the choice whether or not you are a Federation or a Klingon character, that's it. You're technically from that point on, you're a Federation character or you're a Klingon character. So if you're just not sure which way you want to go and you want to, just kind of get a start for the game without having to pick a side, Romulan is a great character because all you have to do is start it up, and basically from the time you start it, you get a feel for the gameplay. And then once you get a feel for the gameplay, you're like, I think I want to play as a Federation character once it gives you that choice of what side you want to, choose. So if you're looking for a little bit of flexibility, if you as far as choosing a side, Romulan is a great place to start. You're not stuck with a particular side, if whether it be Federation or Klingon, but gives you some feel for the playthrough so you can pick it out later. 23rd century character, like I said before, it does start out in the 23rd century, but after a period of time, it will transition you into the standard timeline into Starfleet. Just a little bit of a spoiler there. So, but the thing is, that one doesn't give you a choice. You're automatically going to get transitioned into the Starfleet. There's no choice there, but Romulans do give you, kind of an opportunity to choose there. Now, the benefit to picking Romulans in the beginning is you can still choose the alien character. So if you were going to choose an alien character in Starfleet or Klingon, you still get access to, you can still create that alien race, and it should have the exact same, description here and class information. If, to my knowledge, I don't believe there's any, real difference there. So, trying to make sure I covered a lot of the basics here on, just choosing a character and if there's any differences. But ultimately, I think that's going to be about it. I'm just going to cycle through here. You've got your Starfleet character. In the 23rd century, there were only a few people in the Starfleet, so you're only having 4 choices here. So not a lot of options with the 23rd century character, but you do get a different beam in options. So if you kind of like the original series, and you want, when you beam up to your ship or something like that, and you want the special effect of being able to use that 23rd century, transporter effect, and use the little flip phone thing. 23rd century is a neat character. That is a neat little option. That the transitions are different there. The transition screens are a little different, so they have more of a 23rd century flavor to them. So it does immerse you a little bit in the 23rd century, and does give you some access to clothing that's a little different than what your standard Starfleet character would be. So you do have access to a little bit different options there with this particular character. So clothing, different clothing options here, and the option with the different transition effects and the beam in effects. So really nice benefits there, but ultimately with engineering and science, there's not a lot of real differences in that particular character. Starfleet's by far has got the most choices here on what species you can be in the current timeline, so you have a lot of options here. And again, different options for the standard 3 choices here for engineering, science, and tactical. That won't change. The only thing that does slightly change is these race informations and class informations. As you can see with the engineering, you get different, options that open up at different levels as you play. So, and those are kind of unique. Um, so just keep that in mind. It might be worth checking out the class information. Just see if you see something you like. So, like I think with science, they have this thing called photonic leap. It's just a neat little thing. But would I choose the science because of this particular option? No, because there's actually other things that open up in the game that are just like this. And so, you know, just don't get bogged down on being like, oh wow, I wanted this, and it turned out it may not be as good as you thought when you signed up. So ultimately, just try to pick something that you like and you think will fit for you, because more than likely, I've deleted one character and restarted once in like maybe 6 years of gameplay. So you're probably going to keep these characters for the long haul. So just FYI there. So um, and I think that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next step here. So we've covered, how to choose. I did miss the fact that you can choose male or female here by, choosing these options. And like I said, on consoles, it's going to be a different, way of changing these. But I'm trying to tell you what options are out there so that when you're in that character creation process, you're not getting like, oh, hey, I didn't know that was a step, or I didn't know I could make that choice. These are certain things that you can't change once you've created the character. So I want to go over them now so that when you create that character, you're not like, well, crap. I mean, I wanted this, but I can't go back and change it. So I will say the sex of the character, whether it be male or female, is something you cannot change, as well as what area you started the game, whether you're Klingon, Romulan, Starfleet, or 23rd century. It's something you can't go back and change. Um, you can, like, same thing with the sex, you either pick male or female, and also this engineering, what path you want to build, engineering, science, and tactical are all things you cannot come back and change. So this first species and career creation process is stuff you want to, give a little bit of thought to. Do I want to be immersed in 23rd century? Do I want to be standard Starfleet, or do I want Romulan, flavor where I can choose what side I can be on later, and or do I just want to be like, I'm Klingon, I'm coming in, I wanted to be Klingon to start. That's what I'm gonna do. Well, once you pick that, pick the sex of the character, male or female, and and then you choose what area you really kind of want to build this up at. As a general rule, I would suggest tactical or engineering as starter characters. Science can be a little complicated, but I'll be honest, it's really improved over time. So any of them will do well, but can't go wrong with tactical, especially in the beginning. So again, all things that cannot be changed once you create the character. Other things you can, but these areas you cannot. So pick one of these areas. Pick the sex of the character, and then pick the general direction you want to go. So trying to be thorough here, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself. So we're picking Romulan, which is going to be like we're going to be able to choose whether or not we're Federation or Klingon, which on this one I'm going to have a Federation. I'm going to have it follow the Federation, side, because I already have one that's a Klingon. And I'm going to create it with the Reman, um, you know, uh, person there, and I'm going to go with tactical because I need another tactical player. So again, all things that cannot be changed later. Romulan, or Romulan trait, Reman, and we're going to go with tactical again, and we're going with the female, character. All things that cannot be changed later. So now that we've chosen all those things, we're going to hit next or go to the next step in the process, which is appearance, which is pretty. All of this stuff from here on technically can be changed. There's one or two things that cannot be changed, but all this here can be changed. So all I'm going to say is don't stress about it. Okay? If you want to spend some time building up your character and how it looks, go for it. But ultimately, it does not matter, and it can be changed at any point. Okay? There's later on in the game, you'll be able to go to an outfitter and change how your character looks. You won't be able to change like those key areas that I mentioned. You won't be able to change the sex. You won't be able to change the species of the character. But you can change everything from its height, its stance, how it looks. You can make it look more human or whatever. If it's an alien, you can make it look however at any point during the game. So clothing and stuff more clothing comes available during the game. You can change its clothing later on, height, all of it. So in the beginning, my suggestion is just to skip over this. Unless you're really attached to it, just select something. I just picked, something right here. They have presets here. There's like one here and usually another one here. I think these Remans don't have hair, so there's no hair option over here on the right. But you can even, rotate it around if you want to get a better view of how it looks. But you can literally have so much, creation here. You have all these options to change how it looks. You just change the slider here. Now, if you're not really sure, they have this like random button here, or this one will reset and this one is random, and it'll give you a completely different look for your character. But again, all things that you can change at a later date. But ultimately, basically everything here can be changed that hasn't been chosen in the previous option here. Now, I will sort of, key in this real quick. The height can be adjusted here real quick. So if you want kind of a shorter character, which I usually do, I tend to think a 6'2" character is a little too tall when I'm playing. So I always like to knock it down to about 5'10" on most of my characters, because otherwise, to me, it's a little too tall. That's about the only adjustment I make right off the bat. But you can adjust the head, the body, and the uniform. And I'm just going to click on each of these individually here because we're under the appearance tab. You got the head, which is the area that we were on. If you click it again, if you get this screen, it's, you can flip through these and try to pick something, but I'll be honest, don't spend any time on it. The big things is going with head, body, and this is where you change the torso and the legs and stuff like that. And the next one is like the actual uniform, options as well. But from a sheer character creation process, don't stress about this. You will always have the ability to come back and adjust this character's appearance at a later date. Except, again, and I'm trying to make this clear because I've had it, I thought it was a little frustrating in the beginning because I thought I was able to adjust the character a little bit more. But except for those key areas that I mentioned in the beginning, I won't repeat it again. And the last one is like the uniform, like I was mentioning. So again, all things that can be changed. Now the next one is going to be the background. I've already put some information in here. But again, I will say I had one caveat where there's something else that cannot be changed, and that's your captain's name. You have to actually pay, what they call Zen for actually changing your character name. So make sure you have a character name picked out that you think is good for the long term. I choose, my name's with a dash something, B12 for Romulans and Remans. I put an R or something on it, but you do it however you want. The ship name, do not worry about. You literally will not be in this ship for very long. You will cycle through so many ships, during your gameplay, that until you get to level 60, don't even stress about the ship names. And you can put in a biography later on. You can put your formal name in later on. But your captain's name is the only thing that you cannot change later on without using, in-game credit like Zen or something like that. Technically, you can buy Zen within the game, but it is a little difficult to, come up with. It'll take you time to learn that. So pay special attention to your captain's name because it'll be stuck with you for a while. And from there, that should be it. So I am going to go ahead and, move this on to the next step, but I'm going to stop the stream at that point. And what I'm going to do is I'll pick it up again, after the cutscene here. So I'm going to let the cutscene go in because it plays through the cutscene for the Romulan Reman, playthrough expansion, and then it'll pull up the gameplay. But I'm going to stop it at that point, and I'll pick up another game after that. I really wanted this one to be specifically about character creation, especially for those new people that are going to be doing console playthroughs. So again, like I said in the beginning, which character you choose is going to be the thing you cannot change. In the sex of the character is something that cannot change, and like which kind of area of study you're going to be doing, whether it be engineering, science, or tactical, are things you cannot change. So again, keep that in mind. And also the last thing you cannot change is going to be the captain's name. you technically have the ability to change it, but you're going to have to purchase Zen or something like that to actually change it. So try to make those things that you're kind of long-term attached to. So if you wanted to make it a certain way, this is the direction to go with it. So, well, from there, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and engage this and do the cutscene. And Lord willing, I will see y'all next time. I will mention here real quick, if you have played through this tutorial before, it will ask you this question. You can skip it. It does this for most characters. I'm going to go ahead and do the replay the tutorial because I really want to do, I'm creating this character to do an entire playthrough on it. So uh, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and say yes to replay the tutorial so it'll play through. So.
What we knew is gone. Our home, our lives, all that we were, dust. Blasted across empty, heartless skies. But we live. Our legacy lives. Within every ship we fly. Upon every world we touch. In our hearts. In yours. There will be challenge. You will know fear. But you will overcome. You will survive. And answer vengeance with blood. You will do as you must. Rule cannot be handed to the faithless. Our legacy cannot be lost to villains. Bury the past to face the future. In enemies, find allies. There is no price we have not paid. No loss we have not felt. Our dead world, our long suffering, these are not ends. We are not ended. For your crew, for your people, for this new home, we must face all doubt. We must break the strong who would destroy us and overcome the impossible. We must fight against any and all. We must, we will, for we are Romulan.
The youngest of our kind rely on stories to know what our people were like before. Strong, secretive, warlike. We were feared. We were powerful. Then, everything changed. 22 years ago, the star of the Hobus system went supernova. The resulting explosion traveled through subspace to hit Romulus and Remus, our homeworlds. No one could have predicted that would happen, and no one could have stopped it. Millions died. Those who survived were scattered across dozens of worlds. One day we were citizens of one of the greatest powers of the galaxy, and the next, we were just trying to survive. Every day was a struggle if you weren't part of the militant and oppressive Tal Shiar, or ruling everything from on high like Empress Sela. For ordinary Romulans, military victories don't mean much when you're hungry. Life goes on. The Klingons and Starfleet are at one another's throats, but battles light years away don't affect us much. The Tal Shiar are the more immediate threat. They're rebuilding the Empire by force, and pressing anyone they think can help into service. But even they don't seem to know we're here. We've put down roots and found friends. Today we'll celebrate what we've created. With hard work and some good fortune, true Romulans will once again rise to be a power in the galaxy. The first step on that path begins here.